Hi, well, welcome to Retired People's Club. It is Thursday, the 8th of November 2018. I can't believe how the time goes past. And that's something you sometimes say when you're retired. There you go. Okay, today, what have we got for you? Well, today it's a bit of a mixed bag of a live video. I want to talk about a couple of things. One is really what we want from you, and that's a big thing from my point of view, because the more input we get from your good selves, the better. And the truth is that I'm working on several stories, all of which I think, or certainly two of which, will start to run next week. The first one is quite a contentious story, which is the way that the medical services, like out-of-hours medical services and the ambulance service, deal with people who've died maybe expectedly or unexpectedly, because one of the things we're going to do on Retired People's Club is we're going to have a death with dignity, bit of a campaign, I guess you'd say. One of the things that bugs me is that our medical professionals, great though they are, have some problems with the concept of death. Personally, I don't. I've seen it all. I've been a little bit too close to it on one or two occasions, as many of us probably have been. So what we're going to do is look into that, and if you've had an experience where someone you know, someone you care for, someone important in your life has died and medical services have overreacted. One thing, the story that got this one going for me was a story from an ambulance crew member, who said that they had turned up to a death in a nursing home, a lady who turned out to in fact be 98 years old, and she went to bed at 8 o'clock with a cup of tea. Very nice. She had a bit of dementia, but she was fine, and she was a relaxed kind of person, and so they put her to bed at 8 o'clock with a cuppa. She was perfectly happy at that time. Someone looked back in at her at about 10 o'clock, a couple of hours later that evening, which is pretty good, and she was dead. Her bedding was undisturbed. She didn't look as if she'd had any problem whatsoever. She had just literally passed away in her sleep, whatever. She looked peaceful and calm and honestly just fine. But because they didn't know what to do next, they rang the ambulance service, and the ambulance service told them effectively to drag her out of bed, put her on the floor and start doing CPR. This was at a point, probably an hour, maybe an hour, I don't know, after she died. The person was chilling down a bit and was, obviously dead. But the people, the staff in the nursing home were worried by the ambulance service's response, and they did start CPR, and they did a bit of damage to the lady. They obviously didn't revive her. And I found that distressing, and I thought, what the hell is going on? And then I spoke to someone else, just a casual acquaintance, about it, and got the message back that that was commonplace. It had happened to him. His uncle passed away. He turned up at his house to visit him to make sure he was okay, and the man was dead and cold. And when he found the ambulance, because he didn't. His neighbour called the ambulance because she came around to see what was going on. She called the ambulance, and the ambulance call taker and the man whose uncle it was had a long and quite vociferous argument, I think, about whether they should drag this cold, dead man out of bed and do CPR. So we're going to ask the ambulance service to have a chat with us about how they handle this one. We're going to talk to some medical professionals. We're going to talk to a priest as well, just a vicar in the Church of England, and just to find out what people's view is. When is someone dead? And when should someone be left alone in perfect peace? Thank you very much. They've had a lovely life, I sincerely hope, and so do you. And that's the story. So that one we will be working on. There's another quite worthwhile little story that we're working on as well, which is about jobs, and that's about jobs in retirement. And one of the questions that you have to ask This relates to a question that I was asked by a correspondent here on Retired People's Club. Do retired people have to be paid the national minimum wage if they don't really care? One of the things that came up in a conversation I had recently was about this topic, and the man said to me, well, the councils and people like that are constantly complaining about the shortage of qualified staff. Why don't they offer some qualified staff who've retired little jobs? They could say that someone who's doing that job professionally maybe gets 15 quid an hour, but someone who goes and does it for a day, 5 or 6 hours, might be willing to take somewhat less. Some retired professionals might say, yeah, I'll go and do it for a day for nothing because I quite enjoy it. So it's an interesting question. Do we want to go down that route? Is it just devaluing labour? Is it going to be reducing the value of the, if you like, is it going to be reducing the value of people who do that job professionally for a living? I don't know, and I'm going to see if I can get an answer to that one. Okay, now you remember a couple of weeks ago we went to Pontins at Sand Bay, Weston-super-Mare. So we made a series of little videos. Here is the second one. We showed the first one of that series on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. Do you know the time flashes past? The last live we did, which was Tuesday, and we're going to show the second one now. So I hope you enjoyed this. Good morning to you. Here we are at Sand Bay Holiday Resort. It's run by Pontins. It's at Sand Bay, just outside Weston-super-Mare. We're here for a few nights on a spectacularly reasonable deal, and I'll tell you a bit more about it now. It really is a sandy beach. You know, we rarely walk on the beach here because we've stayed here a couple of times at Sand Bay, and it's a very pleasant resort. It gives you a good cheap week away and quite a lot of entertainment. I've given you some views here of the entrance. The site itself is really quite pleasant, and we'll have a walk round a bit later in the week. Yesterday and last night's arrival, nice and efficient. We got our keys within, I don't know, 10 seconds of standing at the counter, because we turned up at 5. If you turn up at 4, there's sure to be something of a queue, but we turned up at 5 and handed over in seconds. The only issue you have with Sand Bay sometimes is that it's a bit short of parking when it's full. At the moment, I think there are 550 people on the site, and it's got a capacity of 750, and the car park is pretty full already, so they need to get maybe a bit more car parking, who knows. Last night we had an excellent meal. The meal was pretty nice, I enjoyed it, and we also had at about 9:30 some excellent entertainment. A bloke called Mickey John Bull, who's been in the business for years and years. There's a short look at him here.
My telephone number is 07966 464873. Let me know. That's great. I'm going to put it on Facebook. How long have you been doing this, then? About since 1960. So you know what you're doing? Yeah, just a little bit. And you entertain people. That's great. That's right. Are there many places that you can play now? There are. Yeah, I do actually insurance hotels. I do the Homes Inns and Butlins. Right. And I do private functions as well. You know, my mum is very busy. I usually book about 6 months to a year ahead. You know, that's superb. You're doing really well, because a lot of people struggle, don't they? Yeah, so it's a hard time to do it, but I'm very lucky. I work hard, and people seem to appreciate that, you know. Let me tell you, we've had an entertaining evening. Thank you very much.
I haven't included any of the fan footage I shot of him singing because it's not good enough quality really, but he was a lot of fun to watch. He sang some nice songs, he's got a good voice, he's an old geezer like the rest of us, and he seemed to have a good time and made sure that we did, so what more can you ask? So that's Mickey John Bull. Look out for him because he's fun to watch. And now it's 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to have some brekkie, so there you go. I'll show you what the brekkie is shortly. I'm Chris. This is Retired People's Club, and we're here at Sand Bay Pontins Holiday Resort, I guess you'll call it, near Weston-super-Mare. Well, there you go. That was Mickey. I like that guy, Mickey John Bull. He was seriously funny. One of the things that we do when we go on our short breaks is that we go to somewhere cheap, somewhere that includes food and drink if we can, somewhere that also includes entertainment. It's a big part of the evening because I don't know about you and where you live, but where we live there is very little live entertainment. We're lucky we have a theatre in town which is a receiving theatre, and that does have live entertainers, but it does have a lot of I guess you'd call them unoriginal acts. So it has a lot of acts that are receiving theatre acts, or acts that tour the country. They are quite often people like tribute acts, really, I guess I'm trying to say. And in general, tribute acts leave me fairly cold, because they're never as good as the original, are they, when you think about it? But there you go. But at Sand Bay, we had a good mix of entertainers. We only went along to see two because I wasn't terribly well. But Mickey John Bull, liked him a lot. The other thing we did a week or 10 days later, we went to Pontins at Pakefield. We'll show you some of that probably next week. And at Pakefield, we went for a comedy week, Comedy Capers. Why do they always call them the same thing? Comedy Capers. And every night we had a different comedian. Now that was seriously interesting because we had two really, really good comedians, one quite nice comedian and one quite nice comedian who didn't have much original material. In fact, we'd heard some of the jokes the previous night. I'll tell you more about it next week. But in reality, those weeks' holidays, 4-night holidays, Monday arrive, Friday depart. Half board in both instances, and in both instances under 60 quid each. That's £15 a night, bed, breakfast and evening meal. In the clips that are coming up next week, I'll show you the meals. The meals were invariably reasonable. I won't say they were brilliant, but they were pretty damn good for what you paid. The entertainment was excellent for what we paid, and the accommodation was okay. The accommodation at Sand Bay was much better than the accommodation at Pakefield, although we have had better rooms at Pakefield. So there you go. Okay, one of the things I'm trying to work on here is to get a bit more detail for Retired People's Club about budget breaks and budget holidays. We'll be talking to some of the big holiday companies and some of the smaller holiday companies in the next coming 3 weeks, so that you can hopefully find a bit more information and help in sorting out a holiday that you want to go on. Okay, that's, I think, more or less it for today. One of the things that I want to encourage you to do before I go, however, is to say, please, please, pretty please, do get in touch with us. From my point of view, getting feedback is immensely important, and getting your ideas and your input is also immensely important. The more ideas you let us have and the more information you let us have about things that concern you, things that interest you, things that you would like Retired People's Club to look at, the more you send in, the better. You can contact us via all the normal internet methods. You can also ring us. The phone number's coming up in a few seconds. But I'd love to hear from you. If you've got something to tell us, I would just love to hear from you. So don't hesitate, get in touch and let me know what you would like to talk about. Okay, I'm Chris. This is Retired People's Club. We're off. Bye-bye now.
Tell us what you'd like to know more about on Retired People's Club, and let us know what you think about the world around us. You can contact us at any time through these web pages: retiredpeoplesclub.blogspot.com, www.facebook.com/retiredpeoplesclub, www.youtube.com/retiredpeoplesclub, twitter.com/retiredpeoplesclub, email production@seriousleisure.co.uk, or voice or text message us on 07943 043 948. If you have a story to tell that may help other retired people, we'd love to hear from you.